Welcome to Exchanging Secrets podcast. Wish you had a friend who could share their secrets to success? Tune in as we give you an intimate view into our decades of friendship and exchange secrets of how we are striving to successfully navigate life's challenges in our marriages, parenting, finances, friendships, health, faith, our careers, and so much more. Remember to like and subscribe to our podcast on YouTube. Welcome to Exchanging Secrets podcast. I'm your co-host, Mindy Silva, here with
Ara Reyna, Karen Macias,
Julie Luna,
and Marie Pinedo.
And we're here to give you part 2 of the ups and downs of parenting. We had such a great conversation. We weren't done with it. Hopefully you needed more advice.
Yes.
Because I could use more advice.
Or we need to let more out.
We have been going through it for a lot of years. And so we want to thank our sponsors who sponsor this podcast. First with us here, Ara Reyna of Reyna Homes. If you need a home loan, contact Ara. We also have Alejandra and Luis Font. They are the co-founders of the Camp Transformation Center. You can find them on Instagram at the Camp Transformation Center _. And so ladies, let's jump back in. So of course we have sidebar conversation all the time, but one of the things that Ada was sharing with us, if that's okay to share, is that, parenting is really challenging her this season, right? It's like this cute little baby and you're like, I got my sleep. I think I'm getting it back. And, and now they're into this, like, I still toddler. 4 is still the toddler age. Yeah. And they just test. They are testing your patience, but they're also testing for your attention. They really want a lot of attention at this age, and
they're
how much
trying to figure it out,
and they're
for themselves.
Yeah. And so I think Marie was giving some really great tips to us, so sort of offline, about some key things that she had sort of experienced in her parenting. So I thought maybe we can begin with you, Marie, if that's okay, about some of the parenting advice that you have surrounding kids who are challenged for parenting attention.
Yeah, the advice has come honestly after learning through it and not doing it that way, unfortunately. But one of the things that I think I had to really work on was the follow through. So with the kids, I worked far. I commuted far. I was gone a lot when the kids were little. When Anthony was little, I would miss when he would wake up and I would miss when he would go to bed. My husband handled, like, I was gone all the time. I got to be home for about a year when I had Solana, and then I went back to work, and then it was kind of the same thing with commuting. So, a lot of times I'd get home, and what our conversation was about was, when your husband and wife, you want to be talking or getting, whatever is going on, and you have things to talk about, or you need to have time for you two. But then your kids are like, I want to, I need your attention, or I want to do this or whatever. And a lot of times I would be like, okay, we'll do that later. But then I wouldn't actually do that later. Mm-hmm. And I think later never came. I never actually made the intention to like put aside time to say, okay, now I told you I was going to wait, give me a few minutes, and now I'm going to go back and do that. And that's something that we've really had to work on. And so now I try really hard. Okay, here's the time that I'm going to come. And so if I'm doing something else at the time that I said, I literally will stop and go and do whatever it is, because my daughter is the person that if you say one thing to her, she will remember it her whole life. Yeah. She is not the one that forgets. She is you said at this time on this day, and all of that. Right. So I think the follow through is really important. And the other thing that we've honestly had to learn the hard way is they model what they see. Yeah. They model our responses. They model how we talk to each other. They model everything.
Follow the energy.
Yeah, they follow the energy, even to the point of like, when I get frustrated, I'm like, and my son literally does that to me as a teenager now. And I'm like,
oh my God. Right? When they say something and you're just like,
I want to get
happy like me.
But that just came out of my mouth. Right. And so I say that because it's taken Aunt and I literally, unfortunately, my kids are 17 and 13. And the last, I would say 18 months, we have intentionally made sure to not speak to each other or speak to them or whatever in a way that we don't want them to talk to us back.
Right.
And I think that's really helped. It's helped my husband and my son's relationship dramatically. Their relationship now from 2 years ago is night and day. Yeah. But I also see the patience and the grace that they're both giving each other. And I think the last thing for me, I think it's okay to apologize to your kids when you mess up.
Oh,
I have told my son, he's 17. We have told him so many times, listen, dude, like you're our first kid. We don't know how to do this. Like we are trying, we're praying, we're taking you to church. We're doing all the things that we know that God says, train up a child in the way that they're supposed to go so that when they're old, they won't falter. And like, for me, that's what we try to do. And we apologize when we mess up. When I yell at them or when I'm like, sorry guys, I told you we were going to do this and we didn't get this done, I will go and apologize. And I'll say, it wasn't my intention to not do this or to hurt your feelings, but I'm sorry that it did, because they're real people. And I think now as an adult, I think about what I took away from childhood and I'm like, I don't want the kids remembering that I always yelled at them or I always was like,
we're not always,
you know,
not at all.
Yeah, no.
And then it's never too late. Like I like what you're saying about, you know, you explain to your kid, like we're learning together, right?
Yeah,
and you explain it to them, they get it, right? And then I don't know, maybe a little advice for parents. It's never too late to change, right? To change your ways, because a lot, maybe, you know, back in the days, like people were stuck on their ways and, you know, there's that way, but no, it's never too late, right? To change your relationship with your parent. I mean, with your kids, even if your kids are older.
Absolutely.
I'd say, right?
My parents would always say, when I would ask them, but why? And they'd say, because I said so.
Right.
Like, okay.
I heard my kids say that, like, because she said so. And I'm like, ooh, like, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. So now I explain. I do. I think that skill was acquired, not like over time, right? Trial and error. Was that I try to explain. So like the other night, the kids were just like, Mom, this and that and that. And I was like, kids, I promised myself 30 minutes to decompress. I just need to go into the garage, get myself well, and then I will come back and I will be present. Or when there's sometimes they want to like, they're real excited right now because they got money for Christmas. And as soon as I come through the door, Mom, can you order this? Can you order that? And this on Amazon? And I'm like, I can't breathe, you know, their anxiety's rising. And so I finally sat down both of them. I said, I understand that you're excited right now, but Mommy has had a very long day. I need time to unwind. Let's talk about those types of activities on the weekend when Mommy has more time and attention and patience. Let's not talk about them during the week, because as you can see, I start to feel a little bit aggravated. And they're like, okay, Mommy. So they're now also older, right? To your point, he's 4. But I'm having more of those conversations more often about what I'm really experiencing. And I think, you know, as parents, we hold back a lot from our children because we want to protect them and we want them to think that everything is okay all the time. And not that I have to always put them in a state of alarm. That's not what I mean, but to be truthful about what my emotional state is or what my capacity is when I walk through the door, and to be honest about it so that they know, okay, Mommy just needs some time. And I'll tell Alyssa, just give me till 7:30. I have to do the bills. I have to do this. I have to, you know, like whatever my responsibilities are. And at 7, I will stop and I will sit down and we will have the conversation, or I will watch the movie with you, to your point, stopping. And I do. And she'll come and get me just like Solana. She'll come, okay, Mom, you said 7. It's time. And I'm like, okay, whatever I'm doing. I'm like, I guess I'll pay it.
That's why they get along so good.
They do. You said so, you know, and they hold me to that commitment. But I'm also trying to your point, put myself a little bit first and hold commitments to myself. I didn't get to share with everyone at the table, but just before the holidays, about a year ago, I was suffering from panic attacks. And I had gone through counseling and a lot of healing and prayer and friendship and all of that through, and I was doing so good. And right before the holiday, I had a bad panic attack at work. And I was sweating profusely. Your stomach's upset. I felt like I'm going to pass out. My heart rate is elevated because I was like, I work Christmas Eve. Everyone's coming over. I haven't done the house. And it just starts to
piled up.
It starts to pile. You're trying to make the perfect Christmas for the kids. And you're trying to be this perfect parent and daughter and friend. And and you can feel it you're crumbling. And I could feel my eyes. And I was like, don't cry. Don't cry. You're at work. You're going to be okay. Jesus is with me. I just had to tell myself that everything is okay. And because we put so much pressure on ourselves as parents, and I think I didn't share it because I didn't want to own that I was back in that state of mind. I just said, nope, today was a bad day. And I'm allowed to have bad moments. And I know how to work through them now.
And I think too, to your point, part of what I guess I'm learning through the last couple of years is it doesn't mean because you've overcome something or worked through something that it will never happen again. Mm-hmm. It means that when it happens again, you know how to approach it better.
Yes.
Right? Like it's that like checkpoint. Okay, wait a minute. I haven't had this in a year. What's changed? Mm-hmm. You're editing 30 hours a week of podcasts. Yes, you have a regular job. You're married. You have kids. Like you've got a million things. Yeah. And so for me, sometimes now when something creeps back up, instead of panicking the way that I would normally, and you all know how much I can like lose my mind about panicking, I'm trying to like, okay, God, what are you trying to tell me? I let something creep back up that I shouldn't have let get overwhelming again. Mm-hmm. And so to your point, it's, you sent a text, like we need to plan about, right, supporting each other in different ways and that's where I think it's not that it will never come back. I mean, I pray that that never comes back. But like, it's not that challenges won't come back or that the next parenting phase won't come back or whatever it is. It's that, okay, when it comes back, what did I learn through the last season that I need to apply? You know what I mean? And that, I think that's really where I see that in you. Like, you're like, okay, I got to make some adjustments. I saw this happen and now I need to adjust, you know?
Yeah. And some of that was having the conversation with the kids.
Yeah.
And now they know, oh, mommy's in her 30 minutes. They did not come in. Like yesterday was the first time they let me be in the garage. I had my little music. I had the punching bag, which has been great for
Yes.
and, you know, and I shared it publicly for accountability for myself, you know, and I just think others struggle through those journeys and it's helpful when they see that, you know, you don't always have it all together.
Oh no.
Right.
You know, people, sometimes Julie would be like, oh, but your life is perfect. I'm like, girl, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong. I do have a beautiful life. I have beautiful children who we worked hard and have invested a lot in. I have a wonderful husband and I have a great family, but everything is not great all the time. Right. And we need
it
support.
Takes a lot of work.
It takes a lot of
work.
Practice.
To have a good marriage, to have even a good relationship with God. I mean, it takes work. You have to pray. It takes time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry, Mindy. Yeah. So question, because this is another challenge I'm going through and I don't know what to do. I don't. My relationship with my husband, like trying to balance intimacy, dating my husband still, and putting a little bit aside my mommy guilt, because I'm like, okay, so do we go on a date or do we go and spend time with the baby? And it's like, we always opt to go back home and go and spend time with him. And we're kind of putting us aside as the weeks go by, months go by, years go by. And we took 2 trips this year by ourselves, and it was a shit show when we got back because he was mad at the fact that we didn't take him with us. Like he already knows what it means to get in the plane and go somewhere. So what do I do? Like, I don't know what to do because I want to be with my husband, but the baby's always in the middle. Like the baby's always in the middle. Eventually, like we were mentioning earlier, they will start understanding. He will start like understanding because there was a phase where my kids, they would get upset. You guys went somewhere. But now we explain to them the importance, you know, just the conversation. Like mommy and Papa have to go and spend time alone. It's healthy. It's, you know, all those things. And they start understanding. They really
over
do.
Time.
Over
and
time.
I think they appreciate it as they get older. So I didn't do that well when the kids were little. Actually, I didn't do it at all when the kids were little.
So you and Anthony never had like...
Till 2019, we had never taken, besides like a one night overnight, we had never taken a trip. And when 2019, so we had been married 12 years.
Long time.
Like, so we went to Cancun in 2019, and it was the first time we went 5 nights. My parents came and watched the kids, took them to school. It didn't interrupt their schedule. And it was the best thing we have ever done. Yeah. And unfortunately, with the pandemic, we had said like every year we're going to take a trip, just the 2 of us. Yeah. And we haven't really had a chance to do that every year since. But something now that I have like genuinely noticed different, Aunt and I, the last like year and a half, like make an absolute effort. Like, hey, do you want to go get some dinner, just us? Or we'll go, he'll grab the dogs. We'll go for a walk at night, just something like that. And our kids notice it. We get along so much. Our marriage in the last year and a half has changed dramatically, but it's helped our kids because of that, because now we're on the same page. Like we're not arguing with each other about things that we probably just could have talked to each other about, or we're not even frustrated with each other. But part of the frustration I feel like in marriage is like, you're just going to each other with what you need in the moment, not actually like, you're my friend and I want to hang out with you and I want to see how you are and do those things. And now it's, and I say that because one of the things that I was thinking about when you said the question before about like, what is the advice from the kids' perspective? My kids are bigger. So this is probably where my mindset is too. Our goal as parents are to create an environment and a space where we produce a kid that is going to be a successful, healthy, whole human, like adult when they get out of our house, right? Like we want them to be able to have all of these things, that skill sets and knowledge and emotional intelligence and all these things.
To be independent.
Independent. And so part of that is showing them what that looks like. For my son, he's 17. And we've had lots of conversations about dating and what it looks like to date somebody who you want to have a life with versus just want to have fun with. They're very different things. You can have both, but it doesn't mean that they're both always the same person.
Right.
And modeling like how dad talks to me, how I talk to dad. That's the type of relationship I want him to see and look for in someone. Right. And so those are those things, like when I think about like as a kid, what I wish I would have done differently is modeled that better their whole life, because we didn't do a good job of that. But to Karen's point, I think you can always recover it. Like you can always like, hey, this is where you can make those changes.
And then like that would, like I'll explain to them, they started understanding like it's okay for mommy and dad to go away. And then remember, we also took a family vacation. So always remind them.
Balance.
Yes.
Like, okay, now it's going to be mommy, daddy time. Now it's going to be the family, you know? I don't know if he understands.
Not yet. Because I remember going through that phase. He doesn't yet. He doesn't understand.
Don't get discouraged, because at some point in life, they do remember that stuff.
When I was going through stages, like kind of how you feel right now, sometimes I would feel alone because I was one of the last ones to,
be a mom.
Exactly. So, but I always said, like, I always watched them, right? So in a sense, it helped me along the way because I watched them. Or if I'm going through something, I would remember like, so-and-so was going through that. Let me reach out or, so same, right?
Reach out, girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that, like, earlier you guys said community is huge. Huge. So even like at
venting, it's just
like at school you start seeing the same, mommies, and then you start kind of, because your kids get along, and then there's that like mommy group, and it helps because you're just you have to talk about it. You have to ask, just like you've been asking, like, hey, I have a question.
Like, how do you do it?
Yeah, how do you guys do it?
Because how we learn.
It's been very challenging balancing everything, like the time with our son, and then my time with my husband, and then my me time, everything. It's like, how do I do it? How do I do this in 24 hours? You can't.
It's hard.
You can't. It's hard. Like I don't want to be too open like that, but like my husband and I, we haven't been intimate in so long because it's like it's work. And then my son doesn't want to go to bed until late, and he wants to sleep with us. And it's like by the time we all go to bed, it's like we're done. Like we're done. We can't.
Watch if you haven't yet, you should watch the episode Secrets to Healthy Relationships, and we talk about I don't know if you've seen it yet, but the struggle of like, how Ruben and I addressed that by never allowing the kids to be in bed unless they were sick, right? So like if they were sick with fever or asthma, I'd have them near me because that's precaution as a mom. But other than that, to this day, our kids are not allowed, and that is our sacred space. What really helped though is that we had a lot of family support from parents and in-laws, and so Ruben's dad and stepmom intentionally took our babies every other weekend when they were little.
You guys were spoiled.
Every other weekend we had a date night. And I will say that I do believe that focusing on the marriage actually does make us better parents.
Yes, I feel.
And he doesn't understand it today. One day, to Marie's point, he's going to grow up and he hopefully will have a wife, and he'll say, wife, we need time together. I know we have our babies. I know we have our babies, but we need to be aligned and co-parent well. And we need to be aligned in our spirituality, in our intimacy, and in all the spaces. And there's many layers to that intimacy, right? And some of that is spending time. Some of that is sexual, like it's all the things. But the healthier you are as a couple, the healthier you begin to co-parent. And I think that is one of Ruben and I's greatest strengths is that we parent very well together. We don't always approach things the same way, but we talk about that outside of the children. The children will never see us not in agreement in front of them.
Right.
Right. Okay. So we have those conversations behind closed doors, you know, about like, when is it okay for a little girl to, you know, do her eyebrows and do this and like the things that they're asking for. Ruben's like, never, you know.
I hear you, Ruben. I hear you.
And so if we have a sort of misalignment, we have an opportunity to become aligned in those moments. And then we sort of have conversations about, okay, we agree that this is the behavior our child is having. We are in agreement that neither of us like that or enjoy that, and it's impacting the home. How are we going to, what is the solution that we are going to come up with together as a collective to address that? And so it is, right? So the more you do have that time together, you'll start to have more synergy, right? And how you co-parent.
Yeah.
To Mindy's point, I think one of the things that I noticed, the closer Aunt and I got, the less opportunity I saw in myself to be unaligned with him. And what I mean by that is like, Anthony was in the military. He has a very specific way from a discipline perspective. He views things like certain things are okay and certain things are not. And I'm like more of the, I don't want to be mean to my kids, but I also want to be disciplined and right. And so for a long time, I would like, no, we're not going to, you know, we're not going to spank them. We're not going to whatever. And that always didn't work out the same way. But the kids saw that we were not aligned. So sometimes it would be well, mom, dad did this, or dad, mom said this. And so the more now that we're on the same page, that does not happen. And it really has created an opportunity where the kids, I think, respect us both differently because we have different approaches, but they respect both what we say. And I think part of that is like, when you're friends with someone, you can say something softer to them than like, I haven't talked to you in 2 weeks and now I'm just coming at you because I don't like how you discipline my kid. And that's really how it was happening. And I wouldn't spend time together for a while. And then all of a sudden he'd do something and I'd be like, what are you doing? Instead of, hey, when we go out to dinner, I'm going to tell you, can we not do that? Or can we talk about that in a way that like goes different, right? It's just, it becomes a different conversation when you have that closeness again. And I don't know if you're like me, but I'm a planner. And I like, once I've set a plan in my mind,
huge
that's my plan. And so for me, a lot of times what was hard from an intimacy perspective is like, I'm supposed to get up at 4 a.m. and I have this to do and this to do and this to do. And if I go to bed too late or if I make a change to this, it's going to throw off my whole day.
That's me.
As much as that's not a bad thing. I'm not in any way saying planning is a bad thing. The more I've let that go, the better our relationship has been. Because that plan, though it has a good intention, there's nothing wrong with the intention. Life doesn't happen that way.
Like flexible a little bit.
Yes.
Flexibility, get back on track and then, you know.
Don't like get off of it. But to your
it's
point.
okay if a Friday night, stay up late with your husband.
And have a coffee, Karen says.
Actually, because I know it's not just stay
right downstairs.
So yes, because we're all tired, but have a coffee to stay up with your husband.
No, and
then it's okay. Nothing's gonna happen if that's Saturday morning.
We don't
you get off schedule. From time to time.
And I hit myself like I need to, even maybe like in the middle of the night, wake him up, like, I mean, believe me. And, I mean, one of the things that I know him and I can see eye to eye and be like, I don't ever disagree with him. Even if I do, I don't say it in front of people. I don't say it in front of him, in front of the baby. I just like, at the end of the day, when we're like brushing our teeth in the restroom, I'm like, hey, just don't do it again. Like, or just, I don't want for my son to be yelled at by his dad or by his mom or by anybody, like talk to him differently, because if he hears yelling like left and right, that's all he's going to know. And he's going to answer you the same way.
Right. Yeah.
So don't like, let's not have like high expectations and do poor performance.
Yeah.
You know, so we have to really, you know, be the way he wants, like we want him to be with us.
Yeah, we have to
if he gets like on, like if he gets you like frustrated and you kind of like, you know, blow up and start screaming at him, like don't expect for him to stay quiet, because he won't. He's 4 years old and he's going to talk back to you. So, you know, but I don't say it in front of like, if he's having that moment,
like there's a time and place.
There's a time and place, because I would do it before, and he was like, don't disagree with me in front of him, because then he's gonna get worse.
Yeah.
And then he's gonna not listen to me.
Yeah.
Yes. So I mean,
yeah. One of the things that Ruben and I talked about was that we didn't want a home where people were yelling. And so we have focused very much, like to this day, Ruben and I have never raised our voice to one another. Yeah, we've never yelled at one another. We've never called each other out of our names.
Dang, Mindy. I wish
know
that was true for us.
And we've been together.
I think you're the only one.
It's been 24 years, I think.
No, it's so good. I wish that was
really good, girl. Yeah. It's important.
There's moments that one of us, right, as a parent, like one of us is a little more stressed and stuff, and you know, so it's very rare for my husband to, you know, to get upset. Or he's very chill.
Yeah, he's
very calm. Yeah. But if I notice that, you know, you notice it right away, right? So so I go and I'm like, go, like go,
your turn.
Walk away, like let me. You have to like go, or and vice versa, right? He knows. Or there's been moments where I've told him like, I know I'm on the edge, and I'm on edge, and I'll just hint him, babe, please go talk to her. And like, I need to go. I need 5 minutes. And then I go and I decompress, and it's like, okay. Like,
let the other parent handle it.
Yeah, I've been doing that with him. Like I tell him, I need just like 20 minutes. Like close the door, go with him and like go play, go backyard, garage, like just please, I just need 20 minutes. Whether it's like coming home from like a hard day at work or like just an overwhelming day overall, or just a disagreement or an argument with my son. So, and he's very like, I feel, and I'm blessed to say we are he's a good husband. Like it's a good teamwork.
It's normal to feel a disconnection when your kids are little. I will say that. I feel like
it's so hard.
We don't normalize that, and it is not what people perceive on social media and in real life, but it is normal to feel levels of disconnection as long as you're intentional about bringing them back together.
Speaking of that, to the point that day we went to take our Christmas pictures, my son was like pushing us away. He was just like running away from us. We had to tell him, Santa's not going to bring you any toys if you don't give us a kiss. That's why he came out.
Girl, I'm not above bribery
and kissing me and going back. Like people think like, oh my God, he's such a loving boy, which he is.
Yeah.
But I mean, people are like, oh my God, he's so loving those pictures. I'm like, you guys don't even know what we had to do, what we went through.
Right? Behind the scenes.
Running and just like kicking us. Like,
sounds like a normal kid.
Yes.
Yeah. He literally
is. He is.
Yeah. I just would like to just go like this and like have relationship with my husband. Like we do. It's
You're
just
trying.
like, I would like to one day out of the week, not have our kid between our legs and have good sex with him. And, you know, it's like so hard.
It is.
He will not leave us alone. And if he does, like yesterday, we put him in his room, and he was screaming.
Does he still nap?
He does nap. So my
aunt, girl, you better take advantage of that nap time.
It's during the day,
right?
And we're at work.
Go on a long lunch.
You know what?
You're the boss. You have to get creative. You have to get creative.
Yeah, book the hotel room, have lunch in the hotel room, and just like maybe spend the night.
Yes. Well, ladies, this has been an awesome conversation. We're going to take it offline now. Yeah. We're going to.
Let me tell you a question. Okay. So last. Okay. We can all agree that there's a chill parent and there's a, what do they call it? A calm parent or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bad cop, good cop.
Bad cop, good
I don't know. Strict parent?
Like the good, bad cop.
With you too, because it seems you guys don't.
You both are good cops.
I don't know. Who's like more chill or?
Okay, so Ruben and I are heavy on discipline, behavioral discipline. Not the kids are at a stage where we have not spanked them since they were very, very little. But Ruben is definitely more strict than I am. There is no fault. Like there is no bend. And when I say no, it's no. When I say yes, it's yes. And when it's gone, it's gone.
That's like, right, Ruben.
I, on a day-to-day, the way you talk to me, the way you respect me, there is like zero tolerance for anything other than being the sweetest baby to your mama, you know? But I am more flexible in the schedule, or like, well, let's just deviate and go have some fun.
So you're good cop, bad cop.
Ish. Yeah, I guess so. Okay. Yeah. What about you?
Oh, well, we know Orlando's very chill. So if anything, I'm more like about the schedule and this. More strict. More strict. There you go. 100%. More stern. 100%. But it's funny because as
wouldn't
soon as
that.
What?
Oh no, I would.
No, not sarcastically, really, because you're like, well, in our circle, you're the fun, the spontaneous.
Yeah.
Now when it comes to a kid,
I am with my kids too, but then just the rules and the stuff.
I don't know. Jenna, she says like
schedule.
Who's more like strict, like okay, mom's coming in, everything has to be, you know, like I know, parents.
Yes.
So yeah,
but then as sometimes my kids won't listen, and I'm like, because I'm doing it all the time, right? Like the strict. Yeah. But as soon as Orlando says it, it's like they just hear that voice, the dad voice, and it's like,
yeah. If I say, you know what? We'll wait till your dad comes home.
And maybe because they also know it takes a long time for him to get to that point because he's so chill. So the fun, I guess, I'm definitely the fun parent.
So, Julie, what about you?
I think I'm the more strict one.
You are definitely the more strict one.
I think I have to have like these talks with my husband, like, okay, we're going to get home, make sure this is going to do, this is going to do. And the kids kind of already know, like, okay, that's mom telling you. But yeah, I think I am for sure.
What about you, Auntie? Auntie, who's more strict?
I think it's kind of a combination. So I'm more strict.
You, for sure.
But when they're not listening, like Karen said, and I need like Aunt to back me up, if Aunt says something, everybody's like, okay.
And actually, when Orlando has got like upset, I like the kids will know, and I'm like, "Ooh, you really?"
I'm like, "Ooh, you really pissed him off."
Yeah, like I gotta go. Never mad. Yeah. So you guys,
I gotta go. I cannot save you for this one. I'm like,
you're on your own.
Yeah.
With us, it's definitely Alonso. He's just like Orlando. He's like super sweet, super chill. Like he can take punches, but oh my God, when he gets mad, there's no coming back.
Yeah.
There's no coming back.
Break for
so I'm like, okay, you got this. I'm stepping out.
Yeah. They don't talk back to him ever. That is not an option.
Definitely Alonso. He's more strict. I'm a little bit more, I'm the mom, like more soft.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Maybe one day we could talk more about the good things, like the happy things, right? About parenting.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. We forgot about that. See, no, it wasn't that. It was more like the, but I think we need
part 3.
Because it's part 3.
Yes, part 3. Good times with our kids. Yeah.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
All the beautiful things.
There you go. Part 3.
I promise to be continued.
Part 3 will be beautiful things about parenting. We said ups and downs.
Absolutely.
So we'll talk about the ups.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Bye, friends.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, friends, for joining us. Tune in each week as we give you an intimate window into our decades of friendship and exchange secrets on how we are striving to successfully navigate life's challenges. Remember to like and subscribe to our podcast on YouTube and other podcast platforms. The content in our podcast is for information and entertainment purposes only and does not constitute medical, legal, financial, or other professional advice. Please consult with a professional for specific advice tailored to your situation. The views and opinions expressed by our guests and sponsors are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Tell Me Your Secrets, LLC.